Is Ukraine actually making advances in the left bank of Kherson? I'm going to be breaking down the rumors, plus Russia pushing near Burkiva. Let's get right into it. I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. It's November 6th, 2023. This is your daily Ukraine update. Let's get right into it. Okay, first, taking a look at the control map. There's only two major changes, or really major is even being generous, right? Outside the Burkiva Reservoir, one of the most contested regions in the Bakhmut area, you see Russian forces advancing beyond the reservoir just a little bit here. But significantly, they're putting the entire reservoir behind them. And this is a really effective defensive obstacle because you can see how it uses water to block a large portion of the enemy's routes, right? It's going to be virtually impossible for either side to cross this reservoir, over open water, right? They've got to go around, and it's a canalizing obstacle is what it functions as. But you also have a number of these forested regions that Russia has now seized. And because they control them, it represents the fact that Russia's got really an open lane of attack here in front of it. Now, it's got the ability to advance through some of these forested areas. It doesn't have these significant water obstacles that are likely going to be a problem, would be a problem for any attacker, right? They've kind of navigated beyond it. So I think it actually is potentially bad news for Ukrainian forces still defending outside Yahidne. Now, a couple of other places where there's been some minor changes. One is outside of Krasnohorivka. This is, of course, the northern prong of the Avdiivka encirclement effort. You can see, though, it doesn't represent a real attack. It just shows that this forested area here is now listed as contested. It may preclude an attack, but I'm sort of a skeptic, to be honest. Ukrainian forces have poured a lot of men and material into the defense of Avdiivka, and Russia is starting to have to be more efficient with its attacks. So I sort of suspect that this may be a very small bite Russia tries to take, or they may simply deem it not worth it given Ukraine's willingness to put the troops and material necessary to conduct this defense in Avdiivka, right? There's also reportedly some clarification in the Mykilsky district. This is outside of Volodar. You can see here this showing Russian forces advancing, again, just around 500 meters into a second windbreak here. Is this part of any kind of larger effort? Not really. There's nothing to be encircled here. There's just some empty woodlands. They still haven't touched Volodar, really the only tactical target. And this advance outside Mykilsky is not actually facilitating that. It may be part of an effort to perhaps gain some control over some of the approaches to Volodar, but honestly, it seems like Russia is starting to transition to more of a target of opportunity operation where they see wherever Ukrainians are soft, they take a couple acres here, a couple acres there, and they really just operate in that way. There's no larger strategy. It's just about maximizing the turf they hold on to. I think they have, if they're smart, which I'm not convinced that they are, they may have come to the realization that, hey, we're not going to make a big sweeping offensive. Our work in Avdiivka failed. The Ukrainian counteroffensive produced pretty minimal gains. And now we need to realize that both sides just are going to be in holdout mode. And the problem is that for Russia, this is a sort of scaled down version of victory for them, right? They control all of these territories of Ukraine now. Whereas Ukraine's victory is precluded on Russian forces being ejected from the country. So this is a tough situation to be in. Of course, looking over at the combat map, you can see 44 combat engagements launched by Russia. Bakhmut, of course, being a concentrated area, as we talked about, the Burkiva Reservoir being heavily contested, as well as, of course, the Avdiivka region along the southern front here, and some continued fighting in and around Verbova and Robtina. Guys, as you probably know, if you want access to some uncensored combat footage, that is going to be on combatvetnews.com. This is my personal site, right? And I drop twice a week the week's most viral combat footage, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We're covering both footage from the Israeli-Hamas conflict and the Ukraine conflict, but it gives us insight into the battlefield that we can't really get anywhere else. And so if you want to support the channel, become a member, any one of these tiers will get you access to that members-only content, as well as an exclusive room on the Discord. So check us out at combatvetnews.com. All right, let's talk about what you guys are really here for. And this is interesting, a little throwaway here on the side of the Institute for the Study of War's Russian Campaign Assessment. It says Ukrainian forces continued offensive operations near Bakhmut and made confirmed gains in western Zaporizhzhia Oblast and on the east bank of the Kherson Oblast. This is significant, right? This would be the first time we have confirmed gains on the eastern bank. You can see here the large portion of the eastern bank listed as contested, but almost nowhere have we seen Ukrainian forces actually cross this river and establish any kind of control. And this is very, very telling and simply a small aside, right? And they've been very quiet about it. The Ukrainians have not publicly acknowledged that this operation is taking place at all. So the fact that we're seeing it itself is, it could be indicative of something, something larger. Now, I don't even know if this is probably not part of that, right? This little bridgehead at the Antonovsky Bridge. I sort of doubt it because it's outside of Russian lines. And we've heard that this poema is kind of in the vicinity of the actual contested region. So, again, I point these things out because it may be that Ukraine still has some tricks up its sleeve. Again, 12 kilometers east of Kherson City, 3 kilometers from the Dnipro River, and in Krinky, which is 2 kilometers from the Dnipro. So we're talking about, let's just get the scale here of how deep they're saying that they've Ukrainian forces have gone, right? So 754 here is 3 kilometers from the river. That's not an insignificant chunk of turf, if true, especially because Krinky is right here. So it would represent, again, a real substantive foothold in the town itself. So I'll keep you posted as developments break here. Anyway, guys, that's all I had for you. Thank you so much to the Colonel tier members at combatvetnews.com. Thanks to all of our Lieutenant tier members. I really appreciate you so much, and I couldn't do this without you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks a lot. Cheers.